Okay, hello guys. So now my shared screen is here. Now could you please put this away? Hi, welcome to the Waves Festival. We have some very interesting guys here with us. I mean, not actually physical here with us, but sitting in Los Angeles. It's sorry, kann man das irgendwie wegtun? Meinen. Das, was da ist? Ah, okay. I'm sorry. Just a confusion because there are so many screens on my computer. So I want to introduce to you Sat Bisler. You have to tell me if I pronounce your name right or in a very wrong way.
You
Sat?
pronounce it perfectly.
Okay, thank you. And his colleague Tyler, who are both promoting the Muse Expo in Los Angeles, what would be a conference for sync and licensing, lots of publishing people there. And we first of all would have a small video for you for showing you a bit about the Muse Expo. And yeah, then I let the inventors themselves talk to you. And so now I try to get it started. Okay, are you ready? Oh, thank you. Now I will. Ik ga hem vergassen. Okay. So, well, that sounds and looks pretty interesting. So, Seth, you already worked in different stages in the music business as a DJ, as a journalist. You were on radio, club booker, and so on and so on. How did it come to the Muse Expo? What happened? How did it start?
Scope of experiences. So I've worked, like you said, in radio as a club booker, journalist, did A&R, management, publishing, and a whole host of other things. And been to a lot of different conferences around the world. However, I felt there was nothing that really brought together key influencers from across the globe with all these different levels of experiences in a setting that was intimate and really focused. And so back in 2004, I was having a meeting in New York with some of the label heads here in the US, and the head of the BBC, BBC Radio 1, had come out to our A&R Worldwide dinner in New York, and he said, Zach, there's so many amazing people at this dinner. Have you ever thought about doing a conference? And I said, actually, I haven't. And he said, look, if you do a conference that encompasses the spirit and the energy of this dinner, I'll endorse it to the entire British music industry. And that's really how the idea of Muse Expo started. I mean, the dinners, which I just mentioned, was something I started back in '98 with a friend of mine, Dave Holmes, who's gone on to manage Coldplay now. But Dave and I started these dinners where we would bring one guest to our very first dinner, and then we sort of extended it into bringing several guests, and within a year, the dinner grew into like hundreds of people attending from all over the world. So people would fly in from Asia, Europe, Africa, across North America, Europe, to attend these dinners. And that really sort of was the guiding scope of what helped lay the foundation of MusExpo. So we did our very first event back in 2005 here in Los Angeles, and it sold out. And I was shocked and surprised with how many people attended at the highest levels of the global music industry, from A&R to publishing to music supervisors to agents to radio to technology people, etc. So we continued doing these events, and eventually, we realized that a lot of people were doing business at the event, so lots of deals were happening behind the scenes. We also had a showcase component, so a lot of bands were getting signed to worldwide deals. And then, of course, tons of people were getting syncs because MusExpo provided a setting where they could actually, access a lot of these key decision makers in a very intimate and relaxed setting. And so that's sort of the genesis of MusExpo. I'll let Tyler speak a bit more about its evolution, but the event itself, like I said, started in 2005 in LA. It did move on to, launch in Australia for a couple of years under the guise of MusExpo Asia Pacific. And we did several events in London under the guise of MusExpo Europe. But the main focus for the annual event here is in Los Angeles.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Go on.
Tyler, do you want to add to that?
No, it's just curious, because you mentioned a European version of the MusExpo, but it's not the annual event, if I understand.
No, it's an annual event here in Los Angeles, so it takes place once a year. The international versions, like MusExpo Europe, MusExpo Asia Pacific, those were done for a few years, but the main event every year is in Los Angeles. So, we were going to do MusExpo 2020 back in March, but because of the pandemic, we've had to reschedule the event due to government guidelines and public health recommendations. So, as soon as we get the green light that it's okay to move forward with hosting, the rescheduled event, we'll announce the dates for the next scheduled event.
I was supposed to go there, and I wanted to attend this event, but hopefully next year. So, but you still don't know when it's going to be.
Well, look, I mean, we've got the foundation in place for the event, and a lot of our speakers have already committed to joining us for the rescheduled event. But we're sort of at the mercy right now of the government and the public health officials, as well as the pandemic. But based upon the facts we have right now, it looks like a viable vaccine should be available to the masses by spring. So optimistically, I would say yes, the rescheduled event should be sometime in 2021.
Okay, so we can expect a vaccine in the goodie bags when we come to the MusExpo. No, I'm kidding. What would you, because there's a whole bunch of interesting people attending the event, but also it's quite intimate, not one of those huge festivals. So what would you say to which people would you talk to? Who would you recommend applying or?
Well, I think anybody that is in the music business that has an interest in pretty much all touch points. So we have a big focus on A&R because that is the nucleus of the entire music business. Without artist development, without great songs, you don't have a business. But we also have, like you mentioned, a lot of publishers, music supervisors from all scopes of the sync business, from film, TV, movie trailers, gaming, brands, esports, as well as, ad agencies. We also have a strong focus on management, distribution, technology, streaming, radio, as well as, I would say, the creative elements. So with songwriters, producers, and also the live business, so booking agents, promoters. So we cover the whole scope of the entire global music business. So I think anybody that is looking to expand their creative opportunities, business opportunities, but also gain access. Because one of the things that really makes MusExpo special is the fact that you have easy access to so many key influential creatives and executives that you typically wouldn't have access to. And the reason for this is because of our personal relationships with a lot of these executives, because besides MusExpo, we run A&R Worldwide, which is a company I started over 20 years ago, and that has been a big driver in helping culminate a lot of activity, both creative and business, with a lot of the key gatekeepers across all these different touch points I've mentioned across the globe. So these are personal relationships I can have with supervisors, executives, creatives, technology companies, and we're able to bring these relationships together at Musexpo. It's sort of our open house, if you will.
So it's more it's more for the American market. What would you say, or how would be the percentage of the delegates attending there? Is it very American or
No,
mixed?
I'd say based upon our the 23 events we've done worldwide, I would say Musexpo LA is probably about 50-50. So 50% from the US, 50% international.
That's interesting. I just wanted to ask if anybody has any questions or how I can attend the YouTube channel to maybe see some questions. Just to. Sorry. One more thing about A&R management. Because I'm getting the newsletter, of course, but can you explain a bit more about that to the audience?
Sure, let's talk about the A&R worldwide scope and the newsletter.
Yeah, the newsletter, more of a passion project, I would say, that started. But the day-to-day business and kind of core focus of A&R Worldwide is artist development, discovery. So we work with emerging talent from all over the world at various levels of and stages of their career, helping with everything from the early creative process, working with them on songwriting, production, branding, and then bringing that to market, whether it's through radio, through different DSPs, through synchronization, generating traction for them in the US and around the world in different territories, and then kind of helping them find appropriate partners, whether it's a label or a publisher or a booking agent. Festival opportunities. Because of the broad scope of what we do, we're interacting with every industry that has a touch point with music. And that can be things that, are more traditional means, whether it's the labels and the publishers or obviously new technologies, the TikToks and Trillers of the world that we're interacting with, and kind of finding ways to plug artists into those opportunities that exist with those platforms.
And the newsletter, Tyler, that's something that we started back in 1998. And what it was a weekly communication tool between a lot of influencers that we had relationships with. So I would get music picks from different gatekeepers at radio and music supervisors and share that with each other. But then what started happening was A&R people started hearing about our newsletter. So they said, "Hey, Sat, can you sign us up on this?" Same thing with publishers. And what ended up happening was a lot of bands were getting signed from our newsletter. So we started back in 1998, and it was actually the world's first of its kind weekly global A&R worldwide A&R newsletter. And so the newsletter's evolved over the years. So we not just cover the A&R spectrum, but also technology, sync, distribution, streaming, management. So anything that has to do with the music business worldwide, we cover the news in the weekly newsletter. So it's now into its 22nd year, actually. And it's also, given, which is something we're very proud of. It's also given opportunity for other, newsletters to sort of be born out of the inspiration of the weekly A&R newsletter. So it's really helped kind of manifest this weekly communication globally, not just for our newsletter, but other things too that you probably read and see on a weekly basis.
All right, very exciting. One more thing I heard from either of you who is not talking, who should please mute their microphone. And I'm getting a phone call. Great. So, sorry, I'm a bit distracted now. Now, because all of this, I mean, if you go for publishing, if you go for sync and these things, we're basically more. There's no problem that there's social distancing. Let's put it in this perspective. But how did the event, except for how did the COVID-19 especially affect you not only that the event couldn't take place and has to be postponed, but was there any, further restrictions in LA? How did it, have the effects on also on the live scene and stuff like that? What's your experience?
Well, it was certainly, frustrating, to us because we put energy and investment to organize an event, and we were told 11 days before the event was to take shape that no public gatherings could take place. So, we understood, of course, that this was something out of our control, but most importantly, the safety and well-being of all of our delegates, participants and my staff, as well as my family that attend the event. That was the most important thing. So, we will still be doing the event and next year, by all accounts, if the vaccine is available in mass quantities to the public by early spring, as is currently, the information that we have on hand. But we've been through other trials and tribulations in the past. I mean, the 2009, global economic, downturn, that also was pretty traumatic to not only us but a lot of events. But we managed to survive and actually got better as a result of that. It affects. It certainly is also a positive in a way that it makes one, maybe embracing new ideas.
I'm sorry, Seth, to interrupt you. I'm sorry, just a second.
So I think there's been
I'm sorry, because we don't want to miss your information, but obviously the reception is quite bad at the moment. Oh, okay. It's supposed to be on your side. Sorry, because the last few sentences we couldn't understand because the connection was very bad. It's always a frozen picture. Should we try again? Tyler,
Yes,
your connection is better.
it is better. Yes.
Yes. Sorry, Seth. Thank you. Tyler, can you maybe go on and maybe also repeat what Seth was saying, because it was always like, very interrupted, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think I lost some of what Seth said, but like he said, we're kind of ready to re-engage the Musexpo event as soon as we're allowed to do so. I think from a personal standpoint, everyone's going to be ready to get back to face-to-face interaction, which I think is not just true for Musexpo, it's true for events like Waves, it's true for events like Reeperbahn, who are going digital as well. So I think that that's a real positive thing to take away from it, as hard as this has been. And obviously doing these sessions digitally comes with its share of challenges and benefits as well. But I think the kind of the thing that it's made us all realize as an industry is how important that face-to-face interaction is, how important that networking aspect of music and the entertainment industry as a whole is. And I think we maybe for a while started to take that for granted as we sort of had technological advances and we could do Zoom meetings and we could take phone calls. And now I think we're realizing how important all that stuff was that we maybe didn't realize it at the time.
Sorry, Seth, I think you should mute your microphone. Okay, now Tyler is muted.
Okay. I can hear you now.
I can hear you now. We can hear you. Yeah. One more thing, because of the social distancing anyway, because I guess in Los Angeles or America, it's the same as here, when we are not really allowed to make, to do concerts, and you have this I was attending the Reeperbahn Festival International last week, and it was quite interesting regarding networking when you're supposed to be 1.5 meter apart. And also, oh, no, we lost you. No, you're back again. Very exciting. So, are there already concerts in Los Angeles in general? Is there anything happening in the music scene?
I think we're losing Sat, but I can
Yeah.
answer
I'm still
that.
having difficulty hearing you.
There are no concerts in person in the US as of yet. There are a few venues that have found ways to kind of socially distance concerts in different states because everyone is reopening at different levels at different times. But in general, concerts and festivals are still not happening on a regular basis. There have obviously been digital concerts and live streams and things like that, as there are everywhere else. But we're not allowed to
Okay.
gather in that way as of yet.
All right. Yeah, that's a pity. Well, do we have any questions? So I was thinking about. Do you want to know something, Tatiana? Famous last words.
I'm not sure. Well, I'm sorry we weren't able to hear each other. We've had a lot of fires here in California, so there's actually a lot of weird, disruption in the atmosphere right now because of all the smoke. So that's why you couldn't hear me. Look, I think ultimately, we're very bullish on the future of the global music industry. We think that a lot of good will come out post-COVID. Yes, there's going to be some peaks and valleys, some ups and downs, so to speak. But ultimately, long term, we see the future for the global music industry looking very bright. Dreams can be made, and it's still the global pop cultural epicenter of the world. So much, content made in LA, not just music, but also film, TV, the gaming industry. It's the epicenter of global culture, and we look forward to welcoming, everybody, including our Austrian friends and beyond, to our next Muse Expo. And of course, you're welcome to LA anytime, even above and beyond Muse Expo.
Yeah.
Tom, any famous last words from you?
Those were pretty famous for me. I'm just excited, like Sat said. I think obviously this will pass, and I think when it does, it's gonna mean people are really hungry for, especially the live event sector. I see just really coming back strong because people are really craving that again. There's obviously no better way to interact with your favorite artists than in that setting. But in the meantime, we're finding ways to work through this, and that's what we can do for now. And people are getting really creative, and artists are getting really creative on interacting with their fans, and some of those things I think will carry over. And so, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, I guess, is the best way to look at it.
I mean, that's of course now the best sentence for an ending. So, guys, I thank you so much. And well, thank you so much for being with us virtually. And I hope we can meet up next year at the Muse Expo, because what you're really right is it's a people's business, and of course networking is better when you really can meet someone in person. And so hopefully we can do this next year. And fingers crossed, and good luck for everything. And goodbye from Vienna.
Thank you very much. Stay safe and well. You and everybody there in Take care. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Stay safe. Stay healthy.